Okay, so very good morning, everyone. So today's agenda of this meeting is to write the scholarly content and also how to write it fast. Okay, and I will show you also the ways unofficially to write it fast. It doesn't mean that it is an official way to write it. And my sincere request is not to share what are the techniques it is to the other side, other people of your friends or other colleagues also, because instead of praising you or instead of saying good things to you, they may take it in a different way. That means, okay, they're using some tools, otherwise they don't know how to write it, they're having some secondary ways to do it, all those things. So better not to disclose anything which I'm saying here. You keep it with you, and you make use of this for your writing content. So wherever you are, just I'll show the presentation. But if you can hear now. Okay, so welcome to this session for writing the scholarly content with the help of some tools. So whenever you write something, it's my manuscript, in my book chapter, including the thesis or synopsis, you should have these 4 mandatory tools or such, whatever you can call it as. So this is also order to which it has to be placed. First one is the Scopus. There are many search engines like Ebesco is there, Above Science is there, Google Scholar is there, Google Assistant is there. So many things are there. But why I'm saying Scopus is an ideal place. You'll get the correct articles. So what is the meaning of correct number of articles is, if you take Above Science, you'll be finding only the high impact factor articles, or you'll be finding only the articles which is having impact factor. But if we see around 20 to 30% journals only having impact factor, rest of the articles will not be reflecting in the Web of Science. Let us take only Google Scholar. It will show all the trash. It will show here, right? Including a small journal of Scopus like AJRPS or whatever it is, where there is the article is not reviewed properly. It is not a validated data. That also it will show that we cannot consider for writing a good article. So in Scopus database, it will show it's not like too high-fi. At the same time, it's not like too worst. It will show Scopus is nothing but it includes Web of Science articles plus other journals which having at some standards of reviewing process which they follow. So those articles also will come in the Scopus. So simple way to explain this is, let us say you're putting a nanoparticle and diabetic wound in Web of Science, you may get hardly 5 articles. But if you put the same wordings in nanoparticles in diabetic wound in Scopus, you may get 15 to 20 articles. But if you put the same title in Google Scholar, it is an infinity. You may get 100 articles. Nobody knows what is the exact thing that they're written here. So Scopus is an ideal way to write, to search the scholarly content. So another thing why I'm saying to search in the Scopus is, you are writing a review, fine, but the question is how far it is up to date. Have you covered everything? Let us say nanoparticle of the day first article who used the nanoparticles in diabetic wound healing. It may be 1990 or 92, 93 or whatever it is. But if you search in the Google Scholar or Google, what happens is there are hundreds of pages will come. You don't want to go to up to last page. Hardly you will see the first 2-3 pages remaining are going to be omitted. But Scopus is not like that. It will show the particular number of articles, like 100 articles are there, 150 articles are there. From there, you can able to screen out and you can able to find out which one is good or which one is bad. So that is another way. So you don't have any kind of insecurity that I may not cover 1 or 2 articles in my review. Okay, when you're reviewing some kind of, maybe example I said nanoparticles. So Scopus will be complete coverage of what you are writing, and you can have assured that I have covered everything from the review of literature. Another thing is Scopus is not just like that how you're putting Google Scholar, nanoparticle and diabetic wound. There is a ways to search in the Scopus, because if you are not searching properly with the terms and with the techniques which is available in the Scopus, you will not get all the articles. Some other articles is going to be omitted or are going to be excluded, and it is one of the very dangerous principle which to be done. So Scopus search, you finish it off, and if anything you have another furthermore assistance, you can use the Google Scholar along with that. And for all these things, I will show you the case study. I will show you in front of you to how I will write that. Okay, this is just introduction only. The next important and wonderful softwares are the rephrasing assistant. I know 4 of you don't know about this rephrasing assistance. So what is the meaning of rephrasing assistance? So the majority of the time we are wasting or we are prolonging in rewriting the sentences. So it takes a lot of time. So why it is taking a lot of time is only 2 main problems. One is we are not familiar with the area which you are working. Let us say diabetic wound. You started working from last 1 year or 1.5 year in this area. You may not aware of many of the pathophysiologies. You are not many aware of many of the treatment strategies. So let us say doctor, how he prescribes. Let us say somebody went with a fever, how he can diagnose in all the ways the fever. Similarly, if somebody asks you diabetic wound, if you are able to say in all the ways, you are the expertise. So in that case, you can write in your own wordings all the things, right? But right now, what was happening is you are in the preliminary stages to understand and digest the concept. So it takes a lot of time to write yourself. That is first. Second thing is our native language is not the English. So sometimes we don't know how to use have been, has been, is, were, was, that was. So many things will be there. These are the two things where we find a time, no lack of time. We find the lack in writing fast in the sentences. So there, rephrasing assistance will use. So please, one thing you understand, there is a dangerous aspect with the rephrasing assistance. You don't think that it's like a sugarcane machine. When you put sugarcane, the juice will come and you can happily drink it. No. If it is the case, every other can write thousands of articles every day. That is not the case. It will only help you, it will only assist you. Let us say, what happens is you begin today writing the review, and maybe the third page or fourth page you are in. So at the beginning of 2-3 hours, it is very nice. It will go very fast, happily it will go. But after 3-4 hours, what happens is your brain gets saturated to reread the sentences, and you will stuck some point of time. You'll feel frustrated. What nonsense this is? How to again proceed further. That time, this rephrasing assistance will tell you how you can make it. That means you just make a sentence, you just paste a sentence here, and it will show you how many ways you can reread the sentences, right? But once again, this rephrasing software is also not free, and also they have to be purchased. I'll tell you what is the purchasing, and it's not like so costly as the other softwares. And there are many, not like many, there are only 4-5 good rephrasing assistants are there. Just a minute. Hello. Hello. No sir, no sir, no sir. Yeah. Yeah. There are around 4 to 5 in this. Out of this, Quillbolt is an excellent version to do this activity. But once again, I'm saying the rephrasing assistance will tell you how to rewrite it, but the sentence finally it is correct or not only you have to be checked, because it will change completely the wordings also. Sometimes the scientific wordings becomes a layman wordings. How I can say is, let us say science is a word that it will change into some kind of other meaning which doesn't related to the science. Maybe it will convert as a book, it will convert as a knowledge. So that kind of wordings you have to be very careful. That anyway, I'll show you how to rewrite that. And the third thing is the plagiarism check. The final ultimate aim is to check the plagiarism and to reduce as far as possible, at least not more than 25%. So for that, that purchasing anything, we are already having Turnitin, and you can note down my Turnitin username and password, which I recently got. And my request is, once again, don't share this username and password with any of your friends or outside college, because university will be tracking how many articles I'm scanning. All the statistics will come there, and once upon a time they see how other articles you are scanning, all those nonsense will happen. And please don't do that. But your articles you can scan for 100 times or 1,000 times, nobody's going to ask that. But if you're scanning for other articles, we should be very cautious. Okay. And one more advantage what I did in the Turnitin is there are a lot of customization options. I have created 4 sections in the my login account. One you can use for the thesis, one you can use for the like PhD things, one you can use for the manuscripts. In the manuscript section, what I did is I have removed the option called save into the repositories. So most of the times we'll face this problem. Even the publishers ask, it is showing 100% plagiarism because it has been linked with your university. So to avoid that problem, what I did is in the manuscript section, when you scan the manuscript, it is not going to be saved furthermore into the JSS account. The settings I have changed. You can use that, username password for the same thing. Okay, so that is a plagiarism check. I'm not discussing with other softwares because Turnitin is ultimate right now to use it. And next one is the Grammarly. Yes, so Grammarly is obviously very much useful. It will not make correct in a efficient way how the native English speaking speakers are there, but at least when you return a paper, when you communicate to the international journal, by seeing the paragraphs, the people should not laugh on the paragraph, like is connection, was connection, were, are writing. Sometimes some funny kind of wordings will be there. For us it looks like a science, but if the author who is from the English reading countries, if they read it, looks for him very funny, that wordings and all, right? So at least that kind of corrections Grammarly will definitely do. But compared to Grammarly Basic, the Grammarly Premium will correct in more efficient way than the basic. But that's why that this software also has to be there with you. So as I discussed with you, if you possible on SaaS, and after some time you purchase this software, hardly each has to bear 400 to 450 rupees per month if you are getting the funding. And I think this is not a big amount, you can able to spare. But if you have this tools, definitely you can write it in a more efficient way than what you're existingly writing. Because don't ever write blindly, just daily typing something. It will not going to help you. You have to always keep checking your content, like it's plagiarism, it's grammar, it's grammar errors, or and also rewriting or whatever you say. You have to be using these tools. If you write it, you can write it in very faster way. But like in a traditional way, that putting Google Scholar or Google, just like typing diabetic, downloading one article, reading that for one day and rephrasing it, it takes a lot of unnecessary time. You should go in a very systematic way, right? So I'll show in the next few slides also how Grammarly free versus premium, how it is going to help you. Then the final one is, which I'm not going to extend, it is not the scope of this presentation, citations tools. So EndNote is ultimate. While writing, you can able to cite that and you can use that. That will avoid your last phases of submitting the manuscript, because one journal rejected and you are uploading to another journal, it takes a lot of time to recorrect the format of references. So you can able to do that with the help of citation tools. So just I'll give a glance, that the thesis, the articles which you're writing, what is it tense, the grammar tends to be used while writing different contents. So everywhere you can see abstract, introduction, methodology, results, conclusion. You can see two kinds of different tenses. It's not like everywhere past tense. Usually when you write a thesis, when you write a article, the research article, I'm not talking about review article, you will be writing only in the past tense, because the work has been done already and we are presenting that we have done the work. Was, were is the terms usually used to use. But it's not the case for every time. There are the sections in the each, once again, like section in the abstract, section in the introduction, you have to write in a different tenses the grammar. I'll tell you, for example, if you're writing an abstract, so abstract, what you will write first? So diabetic, it is a leading disease and this many people are suffering. There is no whatever it is. That all should be written in the present tense. It should not like a past tense. So present tense is used for highlighting the gaps in your research area and the aim of the aim and objective of the article of the application. So what is the lacnose in the diabetic wounds and how our project is aimed? So the aim of the current work is, not was, you should not write. The aim of the current work is to develop an nanoparticle system or to develop something. So that way you should write the present tense. Past tense, when you have to write is, so after writing this one, you're writing an abstract. So we have developed we have prepared nanoparticles using homogenization. We have prepared scaffolds using live laser. So from the cell migration assay, we got this. From the colantonic membrane assay, we got these results. These all things you should be write in the past tense, because that work has been done. And when you're representing the problem and when you're saying that we are going to solve this problem, you should write in the present tense. Similarly, when you come to the introduction, you can see there are a lot of tenses were there, but most of the time, if you see, these are all active, these are all present. That means you are saying in an active words. That means the current trend you are saying. You should not once again let it has been done, or this is a disease, suffering, something like that. See, present tense is used for known facts and truth. Even though the fact is old, even though the fact is already there in the literature, you should not write was. You should write, okay, that fact is, let us say, for every let us say in the US, some 100 people are getting amputated every day. That should be written in the present tense, because still it is happening. Even the results are old, it is an active, because the disease is not cured, the disease still is there. So when you're writing a facts or about the disease, still should be in the present tense, right? So past tense is only used one case is when describing work of experiments. That means in the literature, so in the introduction, sometimes you'll write a review of literature. Some Satya et al. Was developed a scaffold to reduce the inflammation. Satya et al. Had developed a nanoparticle system for the delivery of, let us say, the growth factors. So this and all, when you're describing some other's works, you have to write present, or else you remember once again, the complete introduction should be in the present tense. You should never write in the past tense except when you're describing somebody's work. Then methodology. Again, once again, there are two parts. One is present tense used to describe what is normally done to describe a standard procedure. So what is the methodology I have used? Somebody's methodology I'm referring. Let us say when preparing a scaffold, so you're referring a freeze drying method. You have to write the method adopted is the freeze drying method from so and so et al. So that time you have to use present tense. But when you're writing the method which you have already used for preparing a scaffold, that time you have to use past tense. Let us say scaffold. So 100 grams of collagen is taken, 100 grams of chitosan was taken. Sorry, not is taken, was taken. Then it has been mixed into the mixer, and then it has been freezed or whatever it is. That complete process should be in the past tense. But when you're citing somebody's work, that we have used, you write the present tense. Similarly, in the resolution discussion, once again, there are two tense. One is present tense and past tense. Present tense is to present the diagram, figures, tables, and images. Right? Let us say the results is shown in. You should not write the results was shown in. The results are shown in diagram figure 1. The other way, the results are tabulated in table number 2. So when you are citing a table and figure inside the your manuscript, it should be is. It should be in the present tense because you are showing it is an active. You are showing the person who is reading that line immediately refer down. It's not was, right? But past tense is used when you're describing your results. Okay, it was obtained in the microbial assay. This is the MIC. It was obtained in the cell microarray assay. This is the number of cells that has been living or whatever it is. So there is also two ways like present tense, past tense can be used. And coming to the conclusion, yes, once again, here is a past tense because you are summarizing all things what was happened and whatever it is. Finally, you used to write a future perspectives that is in the future tense. So what you are giving suggestions, what are giving ideas, who is working next beyond that. Let me somebody who is extending your work. So what is the ideas you are giving to them? What they can done better at that time? You can use future tense to address them. So these are the different tenses that has been used. Please don't confuse everything. Abstract, introduction, methodology. Everywhere there are two tenses. One is the present tense. One is the past tense. Past tense is always used when you are saying about your work. Present tense used when you are addressing some other's works or some other issues. You have to use the present tense. Hope definitely it has cleared your all the doubts of how to what is the grammar that has been used here. So this is once again what is the sections it is there and what is the content to be written. This I don't want to say because many of you have written the articles and you will be aware of this. So just I'll show in a glance, because many doubt I'm having whether we have to purchase Grammarly or not this video, and this is the only video in the YouTube which has cleared the air whether we have to go premium or not. Definitely, I'm saying once again it is having some kind of advantage. Don't think that it is doesn't do any much job. You write a basic article and put it in the Grammarly, you can see hundreds of mistakes that all should be corrected. Then only when editor reads or editor sends to the reviewer, the first impression is the English, nothing else. They don't want to bother about the much about your results and all because when they don't understand the line, how can they interpret the results? So there itself they got some kind of negative feeling. No, that's why every time the revision comes, the first comment is you have to check the grammar. Okay, just I'll show this. So the left side is the basic version and the right side is the premium version. They are showing they have written an article and they're scanning with both the versions and they're seeing what is the differences if it shows between these two.
But you can see that it skips right here where it has certain and own in the premium. So the premium is going to tell you that certain is often an overused word, and it suggests the word specific to up there. Now that's up to you if you want to make that change. Just because the word certain is overused doesn't mean that it's an error. It's just that you want to make sure that you have variety in your writing style, and you want to make sure that you use synonyms and words to make it your vocabulary. But it's not necessary to change that word unless you had certain.
See, I'll tell you example here. You could have seen this comparison now. Here they're given like basic grammar one both, but here the certain option which we are showing here is not shown in the basic version. But definitely this has to be changed because certain and specific there is lot of difference. Certain is a broad term. There are few things, free errors, but specific is a particular error. So as a writer, you should think yourself and to come to an analysis whether I can use certain, because while writing you don't bother much about, since as I said before, we are not the native English speakers, we will use the words which is comes to our mind. But whether the words which is comes in our mind is correct or not, based upon this complete sentence which is there here, the grammar is going to be identify whether the certain is the correct word or the specific is the correct word. And finally, it is the author who can decide whether what word can be used. But sometimes definitely I'm saying sure, you will feel wonder, definitely there are words which Grammarly premium says is correct than what you are writing. Like here, like certain and specific, there are a lot of differences. As I said, certain is a broad word. Certain errors means many errors, but specific means like few errors, particular errors when editing your manuscript.
Here, certain there, certain here, right, in every paragraph, and that becomes very redundant. Also, here, own is a tautology. So saying your own, your and own, that's kind of repeating, right? So
yes, once again, as we've seen here, this kind of correction was not there in the basic. As she mentioned, your and own both are same. Once again, right? Your is also once property, own also again it's resembling once again the same thing. So it says you have to delete that one, and only other you can put, otherwise editing own content or editing your content. So this kind of grammar corrections, even I cannot able to do it because I was not also an English reading speaker, but at least Grammarly settle will help you to do this. So once you are editing with the premium, at least by 60 to 70%, you will be escaped with the Grammarly. So even if you give, let us say, some good university, somebody have to do that, they also cannot able to do. I'm very sure, because this and all no human is doing this. All the softwares, it's maybe Turnitin, it's maybe Grammarly, or it's maybe the rephrasing software. This and all artificial intelligence based AI powered softwares. That means they have been preloaded with all the specific rules and regulations. Based upon that, it will tell. So it is for a human also, it is very difficult to see. Somebody gave the manuscript for English correction. They may say tomorrow or day after tomorrow, 1 or 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks. Finally, either they're giving with the good correction, no God only knows what is happening there. So at least Grammarly premium within half an hour, a matter of hour, you have at least some kind of assurance. Yes, my grammar is at least 50 to 60% is okay. Then I can able to do that. So that's the difference between these two. So let us move on to the next one. Now let us take a case study of I'll show the diabetic particles, nanoparticles and diabetic wounds. How to write a small review. So I am using the basic version of the. I'm just using the basic version of the Zoom. So it is going to be closed down. So I have to restart the session. Just log out and you just restart it. Just I'm closing the session.